All right, good afternoon, everybody, and I want to welcome everyone to another installment of She's a Force of Nature, which is brought to you by the Natural Resources Women's Network. I am Jackie Hyder. I am the Vice President of the Women's Network and also the co-chair of the Outreach Committee. Joining us is Brittany Perrick, who is the President of the Women's Network and co-chair of the Communications Committee. Brittany will be helping out with the Q&A, so make sure to enter your questions in the Q&A box during the webinar. I want to let you know a little bit about the Women's Network and what we do. We are a group of employees at OhioDNR who have come together to provide networking, professional development opportunities for women who already work here. But we also are focused on getting the word out to young women about all of the amazing career opportunities that OhioDNR has to offer. So today we will be getting to know Emily Archibald-Pellegrini, who is a preserve manager in Northeast Ohio, and Katherine Connor, who is a park manager at the Hueston Woods State Park. So welcome, ladies, and thank you for joining us today. So Katherine Connor is going to begin first, and she has prepared a presentation for us all to see. And don't forget, at any time, just enter your questions in the Q&A box. All right, Emily.
Let's see. Am I going first or Katherine?
You are first, Emily.
Okay. That's what I thought. Okay, and can you see my screen all right?
All right, you are presenting.
All right, great. So, like they said, my name's Emily Pellegrini. It was Archibald clear up until about 6 months ago, and most people probably know me as Archibald, but now I have changed my name as much as I didn't want to Pellegrini. So I am a preserve manager in Northeast Ohio with the Division of Natural Areas and Preserves. So I'll get started with that. And this background picture here is one of the wonderful preserves that I married. Sorry, hang on. Of course, now is the time that people try calling me. Anyway, sorry about that. So this is Headland Dunes State Nature Preserve. This is one of the wonderful preserves that we manage up here in Northeast Ohio. So a little bit about the Division of Natural Areas and Preserves. We've kind of had a little bit of an interesting history the last few years. We were formerly with Parks and Watercraft, and then about 2 years ago, we were separated back out into our own standalone division. So our branch of OhioDNR specifically specializes in protecting rare ecological and geological places in Ohio. Within DNAP, there are 3 sections. There is the nature preserve section, scenic rivers, and then there's also a biological monitoring section. Currently, we're up to about 26 full-time staff, and we have about 20 to 25 seasonal and part-time workers. So it's definitely a small agency, which definitely has a lot of benefits. You know, we pretty much all know who else works for our own agency. Right now, there's over 140 state nature preserves scattered throughout the state. And kind of one of the things that we discuss with the public is, you know, state nature preserves are definitely managed much differently than wildlife areas or forests or, you know, some other public places. And that our whole goal in managing these areas is they are some of the rarest ecosystems in Ohio. And because of that, there's a lot more restrictive activities that occur on those preserves. Oh, and the previous slide had a picture of pretty much everybody in DNAP right now. There's a few missing out of it, but it's almost the entire staff of DNAP. So I am the preserve manager for Northeast Ohio. So this is kind of our little area up here in the pink. We've got about 25 preserves, and we actively manage about 15 of them. The 10 or so other ones, we have agreements, whether it's like Portage Park districts or other metro parks. So they help us manage some of those. Part of my job as a preserve manager is I handle a lot of the day-to-day operations in our district in Northeast Ohio. So we are based out of Eagle Creek State Nature Preserve, which is where I'm at right now on this webinar. So our maintenance shop is here. Pretty much all of our staff that work for us come here and report here to me. Generally, we have about 3 to 5 seasonal part-time staff that all report to me. Currently, we're down to 1, so we're getting ready to hire on a few more. And then the day-to-day operations of what we do is kind of broken down into 4 different categories, with ecological management being more hands-on type approach to invasive species control and habitat manipulation. Since we do manage actual physical properties, there's a lot of maintenance that's involved in that. And then we also do educational events and hikes. Since I've been here, COVID has been a thing, so I haven't been able to do as many educational events as we would have in the past, but we're slowly getting things ramped up, and we've got a full schedule this summer. And then the other aspect of my day-to-day job is the administrative work. So making sure that my staff know what they're supposed to be doing for the day and that they submit the right paperwork and that kind of stuff. So how I got here, it's kind of, I've had a long journey to get to this position. So I am not from Northeast Ohio. I am from a very small town in Southern Ohio called Hillsborough in Highland County. And for the first 5 years of my career, I pretty much worked down in Southern Ohio. But coming from a rural area, both my grandparents had farms. I spent a lot of time around animals and in an agricultural setting. We had horses, cattle, I had chickens in 4-H. My sister had rabbits in 4-H. Ironically, I really didn't grow up hunting or fishing or doing any of the traditional outdoor activities that most people or a lot of people in DNR do. My family was agricultural, outdoorsy, and that we spent a lot of time in pastures and stuff like that, but we were not big on camping or hiking or any of that stuff. So I kind of grew into that as I got older. I did graduate from high school in 2011 and went to OSU. And because I did have more of an agricultural outdoor background, I really wanted to be an agricultural vet. It seems like a lot of other people that have been in DNR also wanted to be veterinarians too, and then kind of stumbled onto this path. So that was originally why I went to OSU. I wanted to go to their veterinarian school there. So I really didn't explore any other options. I really had no idea Hawking College was a thing. I'm sure I probably would have enjoyed it had I known that. So while I was at OSU, I kind of bounced around a little bit. Originally, I was in biology as a major, and I did a couple different types of internships. The first year after I started school, I did an urban farming internship with Franklinton Gardens, and that went all right, but I actually ended up getting injured, so I didn't get to complete the internship. So while I was home recovering, I started job shadowing with Heidi Devine with the Division of Wildlife. And I didn't really know what Heidi did. I just knew that she worked outdoors, and I actually knew her daughter. We were really good friends. So that's kind of how I got her name and how I stumbled into job shadowing her. So after spending some time with her, I really decided that I kind of wanted to pivot away from veterinarian medicine and go more towards some sort of outdoor career, whether it was with wildlife or, I just kind of knew that I wanted to do something outside, and I liked animals. The following year, I was lucky enough to get accepted to an internship with OSU's Terrestrial Wildlife Ecology Lab. So they work pretty closely with the Division of Wildlife, and usually they have a few interns every year. So I pretty much spent that internship bouncing around District 5 in Southern Ohio, and I got to do a lot of really cool stuff. That's kind of where I got introduced to bird banding and, you know, some of the different aspects and other jobs that are with Division of Wildlife. And it was definitely a really great experience. And then, you know, after that, I tried out a few other different jobs. I was actually with the Army Corps of Engineers for one summer as a student park ranger. And, you know, it was good. And I'm glad that I spent that time and tried out some different jobs, because as much as the Army Corps was a great job and you know, they paid really great and it was still outdoors, it wasn't quite as much what I wanted to do. Is a little bit more water safety, and I was definitely more excited about wildlife and plants and that kind of stuff, instead of spending my time talking to people about life jackets, which is still important, but just not my cup of tea. Throughout college, I worked at the OSU Museum of Biological Diversity. So that was just another great thing that I put on my resume. And it was a really good work experience. You know, I was basically a librarian for dead stuff and, you know, cataloged and organized all these historical animals and DNA samples and stuff in the museum. And, you know, I got to do some pretty neat projects with that. We had one of the oldest known records of hellbenders in the state from like the Big Darby and some other really cool artifacts. So I graduated in the spring of 15 with a BS in evolution and ecology and a minor in wildlife management. And with that, I definitely jumped around a lot in my first year as after graduating. So throughout college, I job shadowed with Heidi, you know, did some other educational events, helped out with controlled drawings and control hunt drawings and pheasant releases and things like that. Right out of college, I was hired on as a NRW, a natural resources worker at Fallsville Wildlife Area, which was where Heidi was based out of a lot of time, and also very conveniently located to where I grew up. It was about 10 minutes away from my parents' house. So I was there for about 2 months, and I kind of felt bad because Cash, the manager there, he's a really great guy and, you know, helped me out a lot with my career. And I told him that I was going to be available all summer to work for him as a NRW. And about 2 months later, I got my first real boot in the door and got hired on as a part-time permanent position with Parks and Watercraft. And officially I was assigned to the Little Miami Bike Trail, but I also worked at Caesars Creek and Cowan Lake and some of the other state parks there. So it was a very good learning experience. I definitely got more hands-on experience at parks with some of the big equipment that I wasn't super familiar with. I had never drove a batwing mower at that point. You know, I got to learn how to drive a backhoe. You know, really great experience working for parks there for the brief 5 months that I was there. When my hours were out at the end of the year, somehow the stars aligned and another job opened up for me, and I was able to take a position as a wildlife area technician at Spring Valley. And that was my first full-time permanent position where I was definitely in the state system. And the technician position was really, really fun. You know, a couple of these pictures, you know, I did dove banding. We trapped ducks and geese for banding. Got a lot of great experience doing outdoor stuff there. So I was really fortunate early on in my career to be able to advance as fast as I did and get on the books. It was not the easiest time in my life, especially with those seasonal positions. There were definitely a few people that were not thrilled that I got those jobs, especially some of the other seasonal staff that I beat out. I was young. I'm not the biggest person in the world, so I don't think they were terribly excited to get a 20-year-old girl doing a maintenance type position. But, I think part of the strength of growing up and being around equipment and, being in an agricultural setting was I was already really familiar with how to use landscaping equipment. I knew how to drive, some tractors. So I wasn't really afraid to start using the equipment, but it was definitely very intimidating, asking for help, being able to complete a task. And, I was always nervous that I was going to mess up or, wreck something on the equipment or, embarrass myself somehow, which I'm sure I did as a few points, but it wasn't anything bad. But, as I progressed with my career, I really started making a name for myself. By the end of the summer that I was working for parks, I think some of the folks that were kind of questioned why I got hired on knew exactly why I did. I showed up every day and did what I needed to do to get the job done. And I wasn't afraid to learn different things. And, like I said, I learned how to use the backhoe. When I got the tech job, I had to get a CDL. I was definitely nervous for that one. But, I knew I had to do it. So I bucked up and did what I had to do to get it. The other challenging aspect for the first, few years of my career was I had to commute. As much as I loved living where I grew up and I really did not want to leave Highland County, just the fact of working for a state entity is sometimes the jobs that you really want aren't in the area that you want. So you got to commute or move. And for the first 5 years of my job, I commuted over an hour every day. But after the first few years, once people got to know me and knew I was a good worker, I would definitely say that a lot of those challenges and questions about whether I could do the job definitely dissipated. So after my position as a wildlife area technician, the following July, I was promoted to a wildlife management consultant, which was the actual position that Heidi Devine had. It was one of those other things, where the stars kind of aligned, and I was able to get Heidi's position when she retired. So I pretty much covered the area in the blue on that map. So I had about 15 counties in southern Ohio. And basically the wildlife management consultant position is a free consulting job for private landowners. So my job was basically to go around and help people manage their property for wildlife, or, if they're having damage, how to mitigate that kind of thing. But outside of, meeting with landowners and writing management plans, I really had a very diverse job. I helped out on a lot of fires. The picture in the bottom was me and a bunch of the other private lands folks. We helped out with the burn down at Waterloo State Forest. The one by the helicopter, we were looking at the Andrea property before it was finally given over to the state. So I was really fortunate that I had all these opportunities to go do some really cool stuff, both on public and private land. So these are just a few more pictures of some of the fun things I got to do as a wildlife management consultant. I did a lot of burning. I tried to help out on burns at every chance I got. Did quite a few native plant plug seedings and frost seedings. The picture in the middle at the top is me and Kathy Garza Bear banding monarch butterflies or putting a little sticker on them. So it was a really great job with a lot of diverse aspects of it. So I was a wildlife management consultant clear up until March of 2020, which was just in time for COVID. I accepted this position as a preserve manager in Northeast Ohio, and I think The week that I moved up here, almost 2 years to the day, was the week that the state shut down. So I moved up here just in time for us to have to work out of our offices for 2 months. But luckily for me, I'm not much of an office person. I would rather be in the field doing fun things than sitting at my desk and looking at my computer. So after the first 2 months, we were pretty much allowed to go back out into the field and start doing some field work, because it turns out, it's hard to mow the grass working from home, or, take care of your facilities from home. And then I have just a few slides with a little bit more information on some of our different aspects of things. So, a large part of my day-to-day operations is the maintenance aspect of stuff. So, just because I'm a manager doesn't mean that I don't go out with my staff. So, most of the time when we're out working on a project, I'm right there with them, whether it's picking up trash, repairing kiosk, repairing boardwalk, marking boundaries, that kind of stuff. We're out there, just trying to make sure that everything looks nice and, people aren't abusing the properties or, fixing any vandalism. But I really enjoy the maintenance aspect of things too, even though sometimes it's not fun to pick up trash. Some of the educational events that I've been able to help out with since I've moved up here, we work pretty closely with one of our local schools. Before I moved up here, Adam, my supervisor, and Lynn were able to establish a 1-acre native prairie on a school site. So we get to do some educational events with kids there. We've done some tree plantings where we've replaced non-native trees and in the village with some native ones. We usually try to have booths set up at some farmers markets and attend different events. And just try to be a presence in the community and help educate people on the wonderful things that DNAP does. So another large chunk of my day-to-day work is the ecological management aspect of things. So most of the time it's trying to kill or stop the spread of invasive species. Since I moved up here, I've definitely had to relearn a lot of management techniques, just because before I was working mostly in upland settings and forests and prairies. And in Northeast Ohio, there's a lot more bogs and fens and wet systems. So it's kind of been a little bit of a learning curve with that, but I've got to experience the joys of driving an Argo, which is that tank-like thing on the right side of the screen. So they're semi-amphibious, so we can take them out in the marsh and they'll float. So a lot of it is invasive species management, and it's a little bit more fine-tuned than some of the other stuff that other DNR agencies do, just because the areas that we're working in are often really small and super fragile. So a lot of times we're hand pulling or hand cutting stuff. Occasionally, if it's a larger patch of like Phragmites or cattails, we'll take the Argo out and treat those. And we work pretty closely with a lot of volunteers to try to accomplish these goals. So ANAPA usually schedules quite a few volunteer days with us where they send people out to assist with treating invasive species. So like I said, there's still challenges with any job. I think the challenges with this new job as a preserve manager are much more positive challenges, where it's learning a new ecosystem and learning new aspects and plants and management that I had never had to deal with before. And most of my career and schooling up until this point has been hyper focused on wildlife. And granted, some of it was managing vegetation specifically for wildlife, but since I've joined DNAP, it's a lot more botany and trying to understand how these rare plants fit into a specific ecosystem. And then the other aspect is bogs and fens and wetlands definitely have challenges in themselves. I usually end up getting stuck in the mud at least one point in the summer. And then I've also learned about this wonderful plant down here in the bottom left, which is poison sumac. A lot of people get it confused with staghorn sumac and some of the other sumacs, but this one is a bog and wetland endemic species, and I had never had to deal with that until I came to Northeast Ohio, and now it's in almost every one of my preserves, and I am horrifically allergic to it. But other than that, most of the challenges and experiences that I've had coming to a new part of the state and learning a new part of the state have been positive, and a really great opportunity for my own personal and career growth. So just some advice for people that are looking to pursue a career with DNR, or interested in going into the natural resources field. When I started out, I really did not understand how vast the jobs were that were available to me. You know, I had no idea that there was county offices. Having grown up in a rural area, I really didn't have any concept of a metro park or, you know, metropolitan area. And, you know, within DNR, I really didn't understand that there was other jobs other than, you know, Division of Wildlife. And, you know, I didn't understand that DNAP was a thing. So, you know, I'm glad that I spent the time that I did job shadowing Heidi and kind of getting to see some of the different aspects out there, not just in Division of Wildlife, but some of the other agencies that she worked with as well. One of the other pieces of advice that I would give people looking at this career is you can't be afraid to try new things, especially, you know, new equipment might seem intimidating, especially if there's people you don't really know around watching you operate the equipment. It could definitely be intimidating, but, you know, you can't be afraid to grab the bull by the horns and try it out. The other aspect is asking questions. I probably would not be here where I am today if I hadn't annoyed the bejesus out of everybody asking questions about plants and how things worked and who reported to who, especially, you know, the first few years when I was really trying to get on with DNR and doing a lot of job shadowing. I really did not have a good background in plants from college. I'd taken a couple dendrology classes, but that was pretty much the extent of it. So pretty much everything plant related, botany related, I've learned from asking questions. I still ask my supervisor, Adam, about botany questions, or, you know, I'll forget what the scientific name is of something, or, you know, if it grows only in the specific site. So asking questions will definitely help you out in the long run. And then mentors make a very big difference. I've been incredibly fortunate throughout my career to have known some really great people. Heidi was a phenomenal mentor to me, but in the bottom picture, there's a lot of wonderful ladies that I've gotten the privilege to work with throughout my career. Barb Bauer with Pheasants Forever, Danielle Thompson, she's with Brown County Soil and Water, Diana Malis, you know, all of those people have really made a difference with helping me kind of find my feet and get on the right path to achieve my goals. And then just a short little plug for DNAP. A lot of what we do is funded by donations, so we always try to put that out there to don't forget about us on the tax return. And that's pretty much all I got. Is there any questions? Oh, I think you're on mute.
I am on mute. Sorry about that. I'm just going to hop in here. We completely neglected to offer the Q&A feature for this live event. So I have created, I've got a link here that everyone can get to hopefully be able to see somewhere where they can ask these questions for people. It's just a very simple link. If you go to tinyurl.com/SAFONQ. So it's She's a Force of Nature questions. You will be able to input your questions. It's totally anonymous, but Jacqueline and I will be handling that behind the scenes, and then hopefully you all will have some questions for our ladies here. I will leave that up for a second while Katherine gets ready to go next, and while all of you go and ask some very riveting questions.
All right, ladies, I think that was my cue to step in here. Is there any way you could tell me if you can see my slideshow? Well, fantastic. I've never done this right the first time. Well, hi, everybody. My name is Katherine Connor. I'm the park manager down here at Hueston Woods and Sycamore State Park. I am very thankful to be here today. I've watched all of these Force of Nature videos and just am in awe of the amazing women we have within our division, so and department, excuse me. But what I would like to start with is, a little bit about myself. So how did I get where I am? There is absolutely no way that I would be where I am today without my amazing support system. So I am blessed with a large family and amazing friends. Ever since I was a little girl, I was one of 6 kids. All of my brothers and sisters are older than me, so they had to put up with taking me outside, playing with me, showing me everything. And I actually just got back today from a trip with my brother over to Hawking, doing some hiking and getting muddy. I am now blessed to be an aunt to 10 different nieces and nephews. Obviously, they're different, but I am completely 100% would not be here without their support. Not only my grandparents, not only my siblings, not only my best friends from high school who stuck with me as the weird girl who liked to be outside, to the wonderful friends I've made since then, that some of them are also weird girls who like to be outside. So absolutely, that is my backbone, is the people that I just want to make proud. So speaking of those people, though, that's how I got started, was actually the volunteer work that I did. So when I was very young, in 2001, my mom decided to start working for the American Red Cross, and she would take me with her. And I would sit there, I would help file when I was younger, I would help collect donations, I would go and be in parades. I did everything they needed me to do. All the way up through high school, through college life. The American Red Cross is an amazing humanitarian organization that I am very, very thankful to be a part of. Some other volunteer work that I've done is I am a big proponent of giving back, so I really enjoy volunteering for different park systems, metro parks, county parks. I also enjoy, as you'll learn, obviously being outside. I like our different wildlife, so I've certainly helped with different honeybee organizations as well as some different salamanders and things. But I always love these webinars because you hear about all of these different diverse backgrounds. And so yes, I started volunteering with these humanitarian and environmental organizations, and that's really where my background lies, is with people and loving to be outside. So where did I start? I was a pizza maker. I worked at East of Chicago Pizza when I was in high school. I got offered the position through my friend. She worked there, her mother worked there. It was very much a family business for them, and they extended the hand out to me. I started the day after my birthday, so I always remember that. That job, and that's the thing, yes, I have this great, park manager position now, but all these steps led me to where I am and how, the type of person that I am. So being a pizza maker, I worked as a kitchen crew member, and then within a few months, I appreciate my boss taking some maybe being so young, he thought, she seems pretty hardworking. I don't know. He was an older guy. He said, "You're my new kitchen crew supervisor." It's like, okay, And as the supervisor, I would open things up for the late night shift. I would train all of our new folks. I would be the last one there, closing things down at the end of the day, count out the register, help stop things for the next day. It was all-encompassing organization, getting things, dealing with the customers who might have not been happy with some things. That job teaches you customer service. Taking something and giving it to somebody from start to finish, hearing the feedback. Customer service is where our, ODNR is. That is especially Parks and Watercraft. We are the face of our park. We are here for our visitor. With that pizza making, I have to give a shout out to all my ladies. I was thankful to work there with some of my best friends. That's my sister actually there in the middle that was able to work with me too. And that was the picture. I was surprised with a cake when I left, and I loved it because, again, that little old Italian man went to the store and told them she likes to be outside, and he was very proud of this cake. So that's what I got. And I did. I left, unfortunately. I worked a little bit through college, but I left for college, and I went to Hawking College. A lot of people plug this, but I'll tell you what, it is hands-on experience, and I was that type of learner. I was not meant to be sitting around. And what's nice about Hawking College, just because it's a 2-year program, it is so condensed into what you need to know. And so, yes, there were those speech classes and math classes, but there was also ornithology and dendrology. You can see we dissected things, of course. We went on actual trips because I was in natural and historical interpretation. For that was a distinct path to become a naturalist. So we went to museums, we went to zoos, we went and visited with other interpreters. It is a wonderful, wonderful school with a lot of different opportunities for people. So if you are interested in natural resources, there is a major there for you. So what was nice about the interp program is, as an interpreter, you need to know a little bit about everything. So I took the geo courses, I took the tree courses, I took the soils courses. So it was a wonderful, all-encompassing program there for me. So obviously, after my graduation from Hawking College, getting that degree to be a naturalist, I became a railroad builder. So as a railroad builder, like I said, it all leads up to where I am today. I was offered this position with Amtrak of Ohio. One, obviously I applied, I interviewed, everything like that, but my father has worked for this company my entire life, and his entire life. And what they do is they are a contracting company that builds railroads or maintains or fixes railroad tracks. So with this, I love getting my hands dirty, not only in dirt. I love to hear people say, whoa, you're a hard worker, because I really try to give it my all. That track there over on the right, that was a collection of 13 miles that we built brand new from scratch. And when I tell you we do it by hand, I mean, I had the tongs, I'm lifting the ties. The only thing in that was done by a machine was the rail was set down. Everything else we placed, everything else we spiked. You should see my windmill technique with that hammer. It's come in handy even in my job today. That was an exceptional, eye-opening experience to, one, how goods transport from one place to another. So how do you get something in this world? And then the other thing is that experience of knowing what my dad did. Having that feeling of, when I was a kid, he would get home at the end of the day and be really tired. And I'm like, well, Dad, don't you want to go outside and play? First weekend back from working on the railroad, I lie on the couch and I'm like, I can't move. I can't do anything. It was just a very humbling experience. And obviously I love my father, but it just gave me so much more respect for him and everything that he provided for our family. So great experience. Obviously wasn't what I wanted to do for my entire life, but it, one, gave me, the strength to get where I am. But then that group there on the left, that was my last day there. I still feel bad for leaving those guys. Amazing people, hard, but they were the same ones that I was like, so I got offered this position. I don't know if I should leave. It's far from home. I've never been to this park before. What should I do? And they're like, leave, Katherine. What are you even thinking about? Get out of here. They hugged me, they sent me on my way, and I became a naturalist. So as a naturalist, I have gotten to do so many amazing things. I've been a naturalist at Waukena Nature Preserve. I was a naturalist at Pymatuning State Park. And then finally, I was a naturalist at Hueston Woods and Sycamore State Park. So as a naturalist, if you're not familiar with the position, you do a lot of educational programs. And being from Hueston Woods and Sycamore, we are blessed with a lot of wildlife ambassadors. So we did a lot of birds of prey programs, lots of things with our reptiles, amphibians. Those programs outreach to litter pickups and tree cutting, or invasive cuttings, I should say. That is honeysuckle, is always honeysuckle. Pull and garlic mustard. And then we also have those kind of miscellaneous throw calls. I had a person show up with their Muscovy duck that had gotten stuck in flypaper. And what was my day consisting of? Rubbing oil into those feathers until we could get it out. That was one happy duck when we were done, though. Being a naturalist, that's all I've ever wanted to do since I was a little girl, visiting state parks, seeing that that was even an option for somebody like me. So being a naturalist was, and always will be a very special point in my life. I've met a lot of tremendous people because of it. Working for the Division of Parks and Watercraft doesn't mean I just work with Parks and Watercraft. We outreach to all of our different divisions. We've come together for various projects, whether that be bat houses, sinking trees in the lake for habitat, listening for bats, whether that's going creeking and finding fossils for some programs. It is the people I meet is really what being a naturalist is all about, whether that's the people that come to my programs from all walks of life, from all different places, or if it's the people that ODNR was smart enough to hire, because we've got some really great ones. Let me tell you, though, a little bit about those parks. So obviously, like I said, I was a naturalist at Sycamore and Hueston, but now I'm also the manager. So Sycamore State Park is going to be a really great park, very close to Trotwood, Ohio. When you look at it at a glance from maybe like the website or just your first visit, you might think, whoa, this is a pretty small park. It's only got a 15-spot campground. It's got a couple nice picnic areas, beautiful group camp areas, beautiful large pavilion. It's got an archery range, a couple fishing ponds, several miles of horseback riding trails as well as hiking trails. So it's not a ton, but it is on a property of, over 2,000 acres. So a lot of what you see hasn't been developed yet. And that is where, as a manager, I come in and say, whoa, what has been going wrong here? And what it is they haven't managed the property. So I've already met with our group of conservationists and made up a plan of how we're going to get Sycamore back to where it should be. Because right now you'd go and you can't even see a foot from one of the trails because it's so thick with honeysuckle. It's so thick with autumn olive and all of these different invasive species that shouldn't be here. So I promise, that's me saying right now, and I've said it a bunch before, so we're going to get Sycamore back to a great park for our visitor. It's going to be better for our visitor. It's going to be better for our wildlife, because with those invasives out, we got the native seed bank to come back. We might need to give it a little helping hand, but I want that park to be better for everybody. A park that I'm very, very proud to be a part of is Hueston Woods. So Hueston Woods is, funny enough, pretty much the same acreage. It's a 2,500 acre park, but there's so much here. Here at Hueston Woods, we've got the lodge. At one point in time, built in 1967, that lodge was the largest A-frame building in the entire world. So we had a record breaker here for all of like 3 months, and then some other A-frame building beat it. We have a lot of history in our park. Our park was built because of history. Within our park, we have a Hueston Woods State Nature Preserve. We call it the Big Woods for all the cool kids. So the Big Woods, though, is why we have a park. It's also why we have the Maple Syrup Festival every year. So if you come at the first 2 weekends in March, you'll notice buckets are hung everywhere. We're cooking down in the shack. We take you on a guided walk through the woods, teaching you about our park, teaching you about maple syrup history. And it's all because Matthew Hueston Woods, get it, kept that area untouched for maple syrup production for, that was in the 1797 he came through here. So he held that property all the way up, his family line did until the 1920s. And so just imagine all these years of this area being completely untouched. That forest is beautiful. Mature trees, large tulip trees that are over 300 years old, our foresters have estimated. It is truly is not only why we have a park, but what makes our park unique. Some other history, and we've got great wildlife viewing areas, great lake to Acton Lake to come and do some boating on, fishing on, wildlife viewing like I like. We've got great flowers and different things that bloom right around the lake's edge. And then everybody sees our covered bridge. So we got that too. What else sets Hueston Woods apart? And I would be, obviously cannot plug it enough, is our nature center. So that is what sets Hueston Woods separate from a lot of parks. And really what we're going to heighten is the kind of the importance of safe environmental education and recreation. And that all starts at our nature center. So there on the left, you see our nature center in the background there. That was an interview I did while I was a naturalist. We were actually, you'll be able to go inside that building for just a few more months, because in June, we'll be opening our brand new nature center that our administration has graciously provided funds for and found funds for. So you'll have to stop by and see our old nature center before the new one opens up. You'll notice that around the nature center, we do have a lot of interpretive displays for you get to jump in, stretch your arms out, everything like that. We want this park to be that feeling that you and your family, you and your friends can come to and do whatever you want to do safely, and you feel comfortable being in the woods. And the way we make people comfortable is by talking to them. You know, we have programs. We have free educational programs for the public. And like I said, that could be anything from coming out and feeling a fish, getting that hands-on experience of how you paddle, picking up the litter, giving back to your park, going exploring the forest at night when normally, one, you're not allowed to, and then two, you might be scared to. So we are there to help you feel comfortable in this park. And so our programs are fantastic. And then the other really neat thing about us is that we do have such a display of wildlife ambassadors. So here at the park right now, we have 2 red foxes. We've got Todd there on the top, and we've got Ryder, our red fox that is a black morph, down there on the bottom. And then we have got a surplus of birds. We have got 2 bald eagles. We've got hawks, owls, vultures, falcons. Your birds of prey species that you would natively, anything we keep here at our nature center would be native to Ohio. And we use those animals for environmental education. We'll take those out to different school groups. We'll take them out to senior living facilities. We'll take them out for just our regular park programs. They get to travel with us and help kind of teach folks that safe environmental education. The reason we have these birds is because they are, and why we have all these animals is because they've been deemed non-releasable by their rehabbers. So these animals have either been injured, kept illegally as pets. So everybody has their own special story, and that is why we have them. We have special permits to keep these animals, and we have special care and training to do so. And not only you're going to be seeing the new nature center when you come visit, you'll also see that new raptor enclosure that we just finished building. And when I say just, you know, us building it, it was these hands. It was a lot of folks from, so first ODOT came out and helped tear out our old enclosure. And then we had folks from the Division of Wildlife come down. We had our DNAP folks here. We had folks from other parks here in Ohio come down and help build this amazing, immaculate, bigger cages, better setup for them, better setup for our staff, enclosure for these animals that otherwise one would not be able to survive in the wild. But, you know, it gives them a second chance and gives them somewhere that they can feel comfortable and somewhere people feel comfortable coming to see them. So wonderful, wonderful hands-on experience there, as I've always been somebody who likes to build, but learning exactly, you know, what's our pitch on our roof? What do we need this size to be? So, and why wouldn't I love to get all of these guys and gals together to help build something like this? So not only do we have a beautiful facility for these animals that can't go back to the wild, we also have a separate building called our Raptor Rehab Center. So here at Hueston Woods, we are the only state-operated raptor rehabilitation program. And that means we take in injured birds of prey and try to get them healthy enough to go back out into the wild. And then for those that can't go back out into the wild, that's when we move them to our nature center or find them a new home. But for those birds of prey that can go back into the wild, this is what we get to do. And let me see if I can do this for you here. So with our raptor rehabilitation program, we take in these birds of prey, we give them a once over, we take them to the vet as well. We work with our local vet from the animal care clinic up in Oxford, and we give them medicine. We give them time to heal. We've bandaged them. We've given them braces before. Every bird, like I said, is different. Every situation is different. But at the end, they either get to build up their strength, catch live food again, and then get checked off by ourselves and our vet to get put back out into the wild, or get checked that they have to find a permanent home here. And so it is a just fulfilling feeling to take a bird that it came in and you said, oh, there is no way that this bird will make it even to tomorrow. You can give that animal relief, and more often than not, we are able to get it back to where you can see right here, back out into the wild. And this is something that we've been doing for many years and will continue to do so thanks to our partnership with the Division of Wildlife. If you have any injured or orphaned wildlife that you have questions of, please feel free to visit that OhioDNR.gov website, or easy to call 1-800-WILDLIFE. Oh, this happens every time I play a video too. And then, like we said in the beginning, I'm not a naturalist anymore. I'm now a park manager though. And the reason I became a park manager was because I saw years of people not making always the wisest decisions, or not making any decisions. And it was very disheartening to see such beautiful parks not live up to the potential that they could, and not be the best for the wildlife that they could be, that we would have living here and growing here. And it was also disheartening to, as a naturalist, being on the front talking to visitors every day, when we would let our visitors down. So as the manager, I can make sure that that doesn't happen. I can step in, help have that customer service that pizza making gave me, really reflect and empathize with our visitor, find a solution, build a better park like the railroad working taught me. And then as a naturalist, I know, a little bit about everything of the outdoors, so it really brings it all together here to hopefully make me, I'm pretty new at this, it's only been a few months, so hopefully put me on the right track to make everything great for our staff, as well as our park and our visitors. So please feel free to reach out to me for a couple of reasons. One, anything. You can call me, you can email me with any of your questions, comments, concerns, but also because we are getting ready to hire. We are working on our seasonal staff. We've got some other maintenance and other full-time positions coming up here at our park. If you are interested in becoming a part of this beautiful team that we have here, I can back that we are a wonderful team of great people. Give me a call, give me an email. And then also, if you're ever interested in any programming opportunities, do you want to come out and bring your group for an environmental education program? Do you want to bring your group out and give back to the parks? Do you want to do a litter pickup? Do you want to do an invasive removal? We've got these opportunities. Please feel free to reach out, and I'll be happy to make those things work for you guys. So please, hopefully you're using the link that Brittany sent, and we've got some questions.
Every time. It's been 2 years of a pandemic and I will still try to talk when I'm muted. So yes, I will go ahead and share that slide with the link again, just so everyone can get over there and try to ask some questions for our lovely ladies. I do have 2 questions already. So I have one that can be for Emily and Katherine. What has been your biggest challenge being a new manager of preserve and of a park? Oh, Emily, you are muted.
Might help if I was unmuted. So from the managerial aspect, this is the first position where I've actually supervised people. So it's been kind of, it's been challenging trying to figure out how to be a good manager, and, you know, when people aren't doing the things that they should be doing, how to correct that, and just, you know, try to be a good boss. I guess that's the hardest part so far for the management aspect of things. You know, luckily, all of the staff that I've had in the last 2 years have been really great with prior experience, and, you know, they for the most part know how to use herbicide and mix things, and, you know, every now and then there's some snafus with timesheets and stuff like that, but it hasn't been anything super dramatic where, you know, stuff is escalated or anything by that means. So having good staff definitely has made this an easier transition into management.
So I think for me down here at Hueston and Sycamore, one, I have had such a supportive, amazing staff that really does make all the difference. And I also, already having worked here, had a pretty good relationship with everybody, and was very, very thankful that they accepted me into the new position without being like, oh, what's that girl who used to clean up bird poop doing as my boss now? You know, nobody has ever openly said that to me, but everybody has been super supportive. What I can tell you is my biggest problem is, one, there's never enough hours in the day. Oh my goodness, do I feel like at the end of the day I'm like, just let me type one more thing. And allowing people to help me, to delegate. My boss actually keeps telling me, like, you got to figure out how to put things on other people. I trust other people to do it, but I don't want them to think that I'm not helping out. And so I keep trying to, like, dip my toes in everything, and I just need to step back and make sure I am doing the overseeing more than trying to get into the nitty-gritty so much. So and that comes back to my amazing staff going, Katherine, we know you're busy, we know you have other things, we're not thinking that of you. I was in the shower house the other day, and the 2 guys were like, get out, go do what you need to do, we understand. So that's what I'm dealing with.
Fantastic. And then I do have one more question that has come in, which is, let me find the question in this lovely comment that someone left. So this person has been a parks volunteer for almost 30 years, but wants to achieve a nature career in their retirement. Is there anything that you all would suggest this person can, or anyone can, kind of reach towards? They mentioned the Certified Naturalist Volunteer Program, so that is one thing that is a great way to kind of end up in a naturalist-esque setting. Do you all have any other ideas?
Yeah, absolutely. So for folks who have reached that retirement and are interested in this new start, I always tell folks, never stick up your nose to seasonal work. I think we would hear that from Emily and from me today. We didn't start out being full-time, being anything. And a lot of times folks, especially if they're retired, might like that flexibility of seasonal work. So being a seasonal naturalist, you just have to have a few minimum qualifications. It's easy to get certificates in what those qualifications are. And so, and what's nice about that OCVN program, Certified Naturalist, is so if you have that background, you've already gone through that course, you can't come to a state park alone on that and start teaching programs. You can assist a naturalist, but you can't actually do programs for state parks. So with that, though, that gives you the background to get that seasonal position and then start yourself out that way.
I would agree. you know, when I came here, one of our longtime employees that we had, that it was a seasonal 1,000-hour position, but he basically, you know, when the economy crashed in 2008, he decided that he wanted to switch careers and, you know, kind of took an early retirement from that and started working for us and got pretty involved in natural resources. And he actually, he worked for us for quite a while, probably close to 11 years or so. And he retired a second time last December. So it's never too late to switch careers for sure. And, you know, if he really wanted, he probably could have gone up the ladder, you know, gotten higher up jobs, but I think he was pretty content working for us and doing the seasonal position and having that kind of flexibility and schedule.
Awesome. That's a very good thing to know about. I will also real quick just take time to plug our internship program. We are no longer accepting volunteers for this summer, but, and here is just a view of our page on our website. But for 2023, those applications will open in October and close in December. So people have time to start thinking about if they want to internship for OhioDNR. And then our careers website is just careers.ohio.gov. And anyone can go on there and search any state of Ohio careers across the state. And you can filter them down by natural resources if you so choose.
So I would like to say thank you to Katherine and Emily for their presentations. You guys are absolutely phenomenal. And thank you to Brittany with helping out with the questions. I hope everyone had a great time with us this afternoon, and hopefully we'll see you all next time. Thanks, everybody.
Great, thanks.